Hello chess friends, and welcome to Azarov's chess channel, and welcome to my advanced chess theory and to another part of the King's Indian defense. As told, I'm going to continue with this London system because I think the London system is a very good system for white to play against the King's Indian defense. So I'm going to do well, at least 4 or 5 videos of the London defense, so you can see what are the possible continuations for white to play in this setup. And basically it's always the same thing that I've already told you in my previous video, and the link of my previous video is also in the description below. So if your opponent builds this fortress on dark squares, well, you have to occupy this like squares, so this opposite colored squares on the board. So in this case, white builds his fortress on dark squares, of course, then we're gonna occupy the light squares. So while doing this, his fortress, he is leaving some space behind on the like squares, and you have to find your way simply through the game on the like squares, and have to attack your opponent through these squares. Today I wanted to show you a game. It was played in 1957 between Marat Mahmudinov and Taras Prokorovich, and Prokorovich with the black pieces. And here I found a really nice system. In my previous video, as said, the link is below in the description. The opponent played bishop e2, bishop to e2, and we had sort of a continuation where he was leaving his e4 square weak. But today the opponent will play bishop to d3 and will protect this sort of jump in with the knight on e4. But there is this one problem about this bishop to d3, and I will show you that, because you have sort of a discovered attack on the bishop on d3 with this queen. And let's see the game. We have here again d4, knight on f6, knight on f3, g6, and here we have this London system set up by bishop to f4, bishop to g7, and now e3. You see black is trying to do this fortress, and with this move of c3, and after castling we have now bishop to d3. In my previous video the opponent played, as said, bishop to e2, and here we played in this sort of fianchetto, double fianchetto style, with c5 b6 and bishop to b7, and controlling with our knight this e4. Please watch the video before this, because I want you to have a better understanding to play against the London system. So here again we go here after bishop to d3 in our c5 setup. As said, we don't want to play e5 in this against this London system, because you see this bishop is already aiming on this e5, and you have to play many moves to get an outpost here on e5. So we are going to continue attack on the queen side with this move c5, and try not to get too strong this bishop. That's very good, and this is why white likes to play this London system, because he has this very nice bishop. And of course we want to create also a good game for our bishop, so we have also to break the pawns on dark squares. So you see, it's sort of a positional battle here, but as said, we're gonna continue our attack on the like squares. And as after c5 you see now white plays knight from b to d2. After d6 we have now this common move. It's the common move in the London system, because white wants to play bishop to h2. As said, he wants to get out of any possible attack on the bishop. You see, the threats were maybe knight on h4, h5, and attacking simply this bishop. So here white wants to continue with this bishop on f4, and it's a common move, this h3. Now we have to take now the c takes on d4. We are not going to go in a more positional approach. We want to break here the center with this taking on d4. And now after e takes d4, knight on c6, you see, if white builds here a fortress with c3, again, you see, he tries to dominate with this bishop and this pawns on dark squares. Here I want you to realize this weakness of this bishop on d3. So it's sort of indirectly attacked by this queen. So you see it's unprotected by this queen, and the knight here cut off the defense of the queen and the bishop. So here you have this move e5. You see, after d takes e5, d takes e5, you already attacked this bishop and this bishop. And now, of course, if the knight takes, to protect it, you can take this knight, and here we simply would then take this bishop and continue the game with the piece up. Of course, this would be a winning game. So you see, this is something to memorize, because it's sort of a liberating line for you. You see, you already broke in the center. White stayed a little bit too long with this king in the center. So in the continuation, maybe after bishop to h2, then we go simply, we can also simply go e5 after taking. You see, that cannot be taken because of possibilities of the pin and sort of threats. So here's where white castled, but you see, without playing the c3, white lets us here to play on the like squares, and we're gonna do that, of course, with this move knight on d5. You see, the London system has to be, well, if you want to have a firm London system, you have to play many moves with your pawns, and this is, of course, somehow to punish. But you see, now the knight comes on a very nice square on this d5 with an attack on the bishop. So white reacted here, bishop to e3. And of course, if we take, then he would then have a good central control with his pawn, with preparations of e4. But here black plays very nice. Proktorovic plays with this other knight. So we want to get rid of this bishop maybe. And after knight on b3, he took out this bishop on d3. So you see, good coordination by black's pieces. He simply attacked on this bishop. So this position wasn't so closed, and after getting rid of one bishop, he is on the advance here. Of course, lines can be opened in this continuation. So with the bishop pair, black is already on the advance here. After the queen takes on d3, we have now with the tempo bishop to f5, attacking the queen and getting out with our bishop with the tempo, of course. And now we have developed very, very fast, and maybe we have only somehow to go with our queen, so it's perfectly fine. So any opening of the position here from white's perspective, it's not good because of this bishop pair. So potential maybe c4 would simply weakening his queen side, and then this bishop that are aiming on the queen side are very well to play on this side. So here came queen to d2, and here is where black decides to take the other bishop also out. So you see, he didn't want to have this sort of maybe trading here on h6. So he took the pardon me, after this in this position. So he took out this bishop on e3, and now we have f takes e3 again with this well, possibility to maybe play e4. Now we have e5. You see, we want to break somehow now the position, to open the position, and we have rook from a to e1. So you see, now black plays e4, and with an attack on the knight, and here we have bishop to d7, because now the preparation is to play f5. We don't want to have the bishop here. We want to protect this pawn with another pawn. So we have now c4, and here we have a5, maybe with the threat of playing a4, and here d5 was played with sort of a blocking system, and well, basically what white's trying to do here is maybe go knight on c1 and maybe play b3 and get all of his pawns, all of the direction of this bishop. So in the continuation we have then now b5, simply breaking this pawn structure here, and after taking bishop took on b5 with an attack on the rook. So we have rook to f4, but you see after now this move as told a4, we have knight on d4, and we have bishop to d3, very well placed here. Nothing can arrest him, a couple of moves of course, and we have now knight on g4. Now because the defense of this knight was cut out with his bishop, you see black simply took on d4, and we have now this position. We have sort of a pass pawn, so any endgame while trading all of pieces would favor black, because he has now managed to get these two pawns well doubled, and this is very fine. In a potential endgame, of course, black would be on the advance. So we have here now f5, you see, again kicking the knight out, and we have knight on e3, sort of a blocking system. But now the queen comes on b6, and black has really actively finished his development here, and it's perfectly fine. So we have now g4. Well, you see, white somehow tries here to break the position, because, well, the black hasn't the dark square bishop here. Maybe some threats on the g file here, but it's not. Black is really better here. You see, this bishop is really cutting out the potential game of rooks. You see, the rook cannot go through f1 here into the game, and through the c file it can be blocked out with this potential rook to c8. So the rooks cannot play. The knight is in sort of a defensive style here. The queen is also not active, so very passive position by white. And we have now f takes on g4. So after knight takes on g4, of course you see black has this potential problems around dark squares, but of course now came rook takes on f4, and here the other rook attacks the queen. Here if white plays knight on h6, it's not a problem, because we have king to g7, and you see this pawn is very good protecting the dark squares, so no checking on e5 is possible. So we have now queen to g5, and here we have queen takes on d4, very well. And of course this queen comes also sort of defensively into the game, cutting out the dark squares here, a really protective one. And now after king to h1, we have bishop to e2. Of course the rook cannot take it, because then we have here check, and this would be then of course a losing game. And we have now knight on e3, again trying to rest this bishop somehow, but after queen to d2 and the rook to b1, rook to d1, bishop to d3 was played, and it's again an improvement of the position by black. He already infiltrated on the second rank of white's position, so multiple targets here of these pawns. And now after rook to g1, queen to b2, again you see another pawn was taken, and again controlling very well this potential weakness of dark squares here. And after a3, bishop to e2 was played, and rook to e1, and we have bishop to f3. Now the bishop comes on in an even better position, but after king to g1 we have queen takes a3, and here is where white resigned, because you see here he has this passed pawn, and the continuation would be here maybe rook to f1. We have queen to d3, and now maybe white will try to h4 here, but we go simply for the queen. You see now comes a2, and after taking we simply would have taken then the rook and well, get another queen here, and of course you see again it comes out with this protection of dark squares. This is not a problem because king to h8 can be played, and you see in this position as told after queen takes on a3, there is where Mohudinov resigned, and I think black played very fine here with this harassment of light squares again. So basically I cannot tell you all the moves, of course there are multiple lines, but as a strategical idea I think this occupy of this light squares can be something you can hang on to while playing against the London system. So thanks you for watching guys, and chess is the best.